Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Trailer Show Podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Hey, today is a very special episode. As you know, if you heard our PSAs from this season, we're talking about all about cultural conversations. And we are on this world with a lot of different people, a lot of people who are different races, skin color, speaking different languages, different financial levels. But I think that our biggest problem in this world is that we like to discredit other people from how different they are, and especially with different countries. Me being an American, and I'm from Louisiana, and all I know is Louisiana. And it didn't take me till going out of Louisiana, moving to Texas, to know that to see different like races, like Middle Easterners, and like seeing like different people of different colors. I never seen an abundance of Latinos in Texas until I got there. So I'm like, wow, we have a couple mom and pop Tex-Mex shops, but like never to see like a Fiesta or different Latino markets where they have different meat markets. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the best fajita meat ever. So it's just I was so blind and I was so oblivious about other cultures until I moved out of my comfort zone. And until then, that's kind of what inspired me to talk about cultural conversations. And if you have listened to this season so far, we had some people, some women, insightful women on our show. They promised they would come back, and today they did. And I'm kind of excited about it because their episode was so explosive. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, and Brandon, you might have to back me up on this, Brandon, but I think it broke our day one release record of downloads because their episode was that impactful. But without further ado, help me welcome today's guest, talk all about their country, Brazil. Help me welcome Marianna and Deb. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing great.
I'm doing awesome. Couldn't be better.
Yeah, and like once again, thank y'all for coming on the show. First off, before we go any further, I want to say thank y'all for coming and starting the season off. Very great because y'all's feedback and to me and my personal love life, that episode did great numbers. And I want to say I owe it all to y'all. So I want y'all to give yourself a round of applause. But once again, I want to give my thanks to you as well.
My pleasure, always.
Yeah. So if y'all have not heard about Mariana and Deb, they are from Brazil. They're Brazilian. They're born and raised in Brazil, but now they reside in America. But before we even go any further, how about this, Deb? Can we go ahead and congratulate Mariana for becoming a U.S. citizen? She just got her citizenship. So, hey.
Yay for that one. So proud.
Thank you.
Mariana, before we get started, how does it feel now to be nationalized, to be an actual American citizen? How does that feel right now?
It feels amazing. It feels really good. And honestly, like this is for me and for everybody else, for all the Brazilians and all the Latinos that can't, It's more than just because I was very lucky. Like my story of how I got here, and I came in with a green card already. And if you sit and listen to people's stories, like on how they got here, people go to the like worst things, like just to try to make it here, and then the challenges of like trying to build a life. And I was just so incredibly like lucky, and I just feel blessed, and like I'm just super happy and proud.
And for me, knowing you and like knowing like some of your story about coming over here, like I just want to say I'm proud of you. So I'm pretty sure Deb is too. As a fellow Brazilian, I'm pretty sure she's
Very
proud.
proud. Very proud.
Yeah, and so hey, congratulations to you. I am so excited for you. So now she's an American. So now we can go out and but hey, I owe you a day of celebration. We're gonna have fun. So when I see you, we're gonna have some fun, all right?
Let's turn it up.
Hey, let's do it. Hey. But no, these two women are very good friends of mine, very personal. I've never been so personal with people besides these two women. We're more than these two women, but if you heard our first episode with them with these two, they made it very personal. And uh, so many of y'all have reached out to me about their bluntness and their realness. And I haven't been to Brazil, but having two Brazilians on my show, I'm assuming most Brazilians are just as real. And because these two didn't know each other. And like even before the show started today, they were speaking in Portuguese. And I'm like, what are you saying right now? Like speak English. So before we get started, Deb, just tell us like, about you being from Brazil and like your backstory and how you came to America and what was it like growing up in Brazil?
So, to be honest, I didn't even want to come to the United States. My mom, she is an American citizen because of my grandfather. But this is where it gets a little bit weird, like, and a lot of people don't understand this. My story might be a little bit different, but it's also difficult at the same time because my grandfather died when my mother was only like 16 years old. And it took my mother until she was 46 years old to be able to come into the United States and prove to immigration that she was the daughter of an American citizen and so many other things. Like my uncle and my aunt, like they were the first ones in the United States, but they came with a visa and just kind of did their papers in here. But growing up in my country was definitely much different than here, and I wish I could have stayed. But I'm not gonna lie, I love the US, okay? I really do, but the cultural shock for me was a huge thing when I came here. So just kind of having to deal with having to learn Spanish in order to be like to learn English, that was like one of the main things that was so difficult to me. Because as a Brazilian, a lot of people don't understand we're Latinos as well, but we're a lot of the times we're not accepted by the Hispanic community because we don't speak Spanish, and we're also not accepted by the Americans because we're looked at as obviously Latinos. And so it was just very hard, like being able to make friends and have other people understand, and then people just kind of like judge you because of where you're from. Like a lot of people have the mentality like, oh, you're from Brazil, so you're supposed to have a big butt, and you're supposed to have like this perfect body and this like perfect hair. And it's really not like that. Like the whole like skin color thing. Like most people from Rio, where I'm from, they're black. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not, like white or anything like that. There is other areas of Brazil that that's what they consist mostly in. But it was just like so many like things that were said. Like one time I went to Brazil when I was like 15. My mom had kind of like sent me to Brazil for a couple of months, and point blank is when I came back and I went back into high school, they had a rumor going around about me that I got deported, but that I got deported back to Africa, which made no sense at all because yeah, I know. It was just like the craziest thing ever. And I was like, and then other people just completely didn't believe that I was Brazilian because I look very, I guess to some people in the US, I look very Puerto Rican or I look very Mexican. And so it was always like, if I sat there and be like, oh, I'm Brazilian, they're like, oh, well, your body don't look like it, or your accent, like the way whenever you speak Spanish, your Spanish comes out as a Puerto Rican accent. But they didn't understand that obviously I had to learn Spanish around mostly Puerto Ricans. And as a Brazilian, not knowing Spanish, I picked up on their accent, you know what I'm saying? And on the way that they speak. So it was very difficult because, like, as now I don't care, but when I was a kid, I used to be so mad. I used to take my Brazilian passport to school and, like, had to show my Brazilian passport and show my American one. Like, yeah, I am Brazilian, and no, I am not illegal.
Yeah, and you just did that too. I was like, dang, your passport looks like some like it looked like dang. And like honestly,
I had to because everybody just always kind of like judged us on how I spoke, on how I carried myself, and it was like, oh no, you can't be Brazilian, you gotta be Puerto Rican or something. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not, but okay, like, and it was just now I'm not like that anymore. Like I really don't care to prove myself anymore, but I will say that Brazilians do have it really hard in this country when it comes down to like the whole cultural thing, like because a lot of Brazilians here in the US, they're not very united, unlike other cultures like Mexicans or Puerto Ricans or whatever, like my mom always used to tell me that the worst enemy of a Brazilian in the US is another Brazilian. Because like everybody's just trying to like compete and be above each other, like who knows English better, or who knows more about the laws, or who knows more this. And it's just really weird. But yeah.
And, like, you know, it's kinda crazy because, like, the more I'm out I'm traveling more and more, like, I've run into so many different Brazilians, and it's like, "God, what you doing? What you trying to tell me right now?" Like, you know, "Why am I seeing so many different Brazilian people?" And, like, you know, honestly, y'all have the coolest flag of all flags, I'm sorry, and that's just a cool flag that y'all have. And that's kinda crazy, like, Deb, to hear your backstory and, like, go from there. I know with Mariana, you know, when I first met her, like, I started speaking to her like in Spanish, and she was looking at me like, "Boy." And if y'all are not familiar with Mariana, like on our show already, she has no problem like putting me in my place. And like honestly, I've never met someone like Mariana to sit there and like just keep putting me in my place. I'm like, hold up, and like I can't combat her or actually, you know, be like that towards her because she's always right. I'm like, dang it, I can't fight this girl because she's always right. So, Mariana, if you could just tell the people, like, you know, how was it? What part of Brazil you're from, first off, and how was it growing up in, Brazil?
So I was actually born in Fortaleza, Ceará, and I moved to Rio when I was 4, and I was raised in Rio. So I say I'm from Rio because like I I'm more used to the culture from Rio than from Fortaleza. Like I'll know some slangs from Fortaleza because my family's from there, like from my mom's side. My grandma she still talks like that, so like I know some things, but mostly Rio. And growing up in Rio, I mean in Brazil, it was challenging because it's like that same story of the Latina mom, single mother with a bunch of kids, and my mom always worked so hard to take care of us, to provide for us, and my dad wasn't in the picture. We kind of like took care of ourselves, and that I feel like I'm very grateful for growing up in Brazil and moving here because I feel like that gave me a really good base to like what it's struggle like what is living in a country that you don't have as much opportunities, what it's like when you come here and people that like some people were born here and they just see us like whatever, and then for us that don't have as much as opportunity, we come here and they're like, wow, we're mind blown. Like it's a great, it's just like beyond. So the fact that my mom, um, she's a statistician. She's so my mom is a statistician, and she has been working with that for like over 30 years. And that's how she ended up coming here. And it's funny that Debbie said about the Brazilians being Brazilians' worst enemies because unfortunately, it's so true. Um, I don't want to get into much details because, like, you know, other people, but like basically, someone offered my mom a job here, and then when my mom came here was not what, you know, the person promised, and turned out that person was Brazilian. But like, luckily, my mom, that's my former stepdad, 3 days when she was here, and like it evolved to them dating and getting married, and he sponsored our green card. So that's like how I'm beyond like lucky and grateful because my mom came here and she was suffering in the hands of this person that was like the promised her a bunch of things and didn't give her what she promised my mom. But at the same time, she was like meeting this guy and you know getting involved with this guy that changed like her life and like her kid's life. And that's just like I will forever be grateful for you know my former stepdad because he was more a dad to me than my father ever was. And unfortunately, that's the story of many Brazilians of like not having a father figure. So I yeah, I love it. It's like a bittersweet because it's hard growing up there, but I have so much love for my country, for the culture, because it's crazy that when we come here, we're so like selfish and you know, we can't really trust each other because in Brazil, like we are so warm, like everybody help each other. We are so united. Like it's like a big family. So whenever you happen to meet a good Brazilian here and you're Brazilian, it's like you guys become best friends first day, because it's like your family. It's like you met a you seeing a family member that you haven't seen in years. It's it's amazing.
That's what's about to happen to us now. Yeah,
Yeah, man, it's so good. Where
yes,
you
because I 100% agree with what she just said. Like, it's crazy because I feel like the selfishness with the Brazilians doesn't really happen until they come into this country. I feel like I feel like they let the opportunity kind of get to their head, and they all of a sudden feel better than other people, not even knowing anybody's background or their story. And another thing that I am going to touch, which you just said, is most of us Brazilians growing up without a father. That's 100% true. Except that I did get lucky, and my mother met the father who I consider as a father who raised me in Brazil, until the age of 9, until I came into the US. But it's really crazy, man, because just like she said, like in our country, everybody helps everybody. Everybody like is literally like family, especially when you live in an area where you grow up for so long. Like, man, I remember walking like a whole mile, almost a mile away from where I lived, and everybody knew me. Like, they already knew my face, they already knew whose daughter I was. It didn't matter like if I was walking by myself at like 6 years old, to go buy some ice cream or whatever it was, because it was safe, because everybody treated everybody like family. And here in the US, like I said, it was very much a whole cultural shock, having to get used to how everything is here in the US and how people are. One of the main things that was the first thing that I learned here in the US that stuck with me in my head. I gave this one girl who I became friends with. It was probably like the fourth day of school, and I went and I gave her a hug and I kissed her on the cheek. She freaked out over it and like went and told the teacher. I almost got in trouble for it. Thank God, like the teacher
uh,
understood that I had just came from Brazil, and she was like, "Mommy," she was like, "I understand that like in your country we're very warm and stuff." She was like, "But here you have to keep your hands to yourselves." Like, that's the number one rule in the U.S. that I learned. Being a Brazilian, going to school, keep your hands to yourself. And it's just like, dang. So nobody hugs. We just shake hands over here.
it's so crazy that you say that, because yeah, I remember. Uh, so I got here. I was old, but still, I went to eighth grade. It's the whole story. But yeah, I was in middle school, and I remember I would hear that so much. That's definitely the first thing I learned. Like here, it was keep your hands to yourself. I would hear that all the freaking time.
And it's crazy to see, like, how y'all just bond and, like, y'all this is, like, what, the 2nd time or 3rd time y'all talk to each other, so it's, like it's so weird to see y'all automatically get chemistry like that and bond over your love of your home country, and, like, that's the kinda cultural conversations we're gonna have today.
I
Go for it.
I'm sorry, I just want to add something, because it's a special thing when you're from Rio. It's like you're not
It
only from
really
Brazil,
is.
but you're also from Rio. It's like it's different.
It
And
really is. It really is.
so Rio is the like I mean, of course, like everywhere when you think about Brazil, you hear about Rio. So like what's so before we go to break, what's so special about Rio? Even though it's the capital, right?
It's not the
No,
capital.
Oh, my
that's
bad. See,
one
my
of the
bad.
mistakes a lot of people make, actually.
See?
Yes. The capital of Brazil is actually called Brasilia.
Brasilia. Okay.
Yes. So Rio is not really the capital or anything like that. It's just very known because tourism, the beaches, and then obviously the Cristo Redentor, which is the Christ, on top of the mountain, and then the Sugarloaf Mountain. So the thing that I feel like is really special about Rio is that I don't care, like, from all of the states. My mom is from Bahia, Salvador. And don't get me wrong, like I love her culture from like how Bahia is as well and everything like that. And I've met some other ones, but the thing about Rio is that we're just so like I don't know how to explain it. We're so open and just like
It's
out
just
there.
Rio. Yeah, it's different. It's just different. It's so funny because this whole thing of like cursing a lot, it's also part of the culture in Rio, but we are not like cursing at each other. It's just like I
It's
don't know.
just a
It's
little
because
speak.
yeah, we go to like we're beach people, like we're chill, like we're more about the like having fun rather than work. We're more like LA people, you know? Like
And we're
we
huge dancers. Dancers.
yes. Oh my god, don't even play a funk right now because we're gonna have to put this plus 18 outside twerking here.
Listen, that's like one of the main things that I was so excited when Anita finally became famous in the US because so many other like Brazilian
Bro.
people tried to like become famous in the US, and like some of them actually like got to make some songs with American people or whatever. But when Anita was able to bring our beat into the United States and make American people actually like love our beat and then making American music and even Hispanic Latino music with our beat, like I absolutely like, oh my god, I wish I could talk to her because I'm like, listen, excuse me, I've been
I was
waiting my whole life.
I was so proud whenever I would go to the gym and I would hear like playing Anita. I wanted to like send her a WhatsApp, bro, but like I don't have her number, of course. But like, hey, girl, you're playing here at the gym, like you know.
Yes, and
And
like, and it's crazy because I just knew that the minute funk would literally like hit here in the US, I knew that it was just gonna be like a done deal. Like because the beats are just so freaking amazing. I don't know how to explain it. Like I remember walking in the streets and the boys like which que a gente chama né, os moleques na rua tudo fazendo os beats with their
nada
mouth
você, nada você.
like just music. Like we know funky like they never actually needed an instrument to make the beat. Like a lot of these boys were just making these beats like in the street with nothing but their mouth and maybe a couple like little things that they were throwing around. It was so love it.
This is
And and you know, I'm sorry. You know what's beautiful about funk? It's because back in the days, like when I was a kid, um, it came out this song. If I start singing, you're gonna know exactly what it is. É só de preto, de favelado. So
Oh my
it's
god,
like
yes.
funk is it was like discriminal. It was like criminalized. It was
Yes,
like just for yeah, it was like people would say this is not even music. This is just for ghetto people. It's that's the lyrics that I just sang. That's what it says. Like it's song for black people because yeah, it's ghetto people music. But when we play, um, everybody gets moving. Basically, like everybody start
exactly.
dancing
Hmm.
because it's this thing where like everybody loves funk in reality, but like it was so judged, like it was so like it had such a bad image that people would like hate on it.
It still
So
does,
that's
unfortunately.
right, exactly. But like the fact that like we were able to like as a country, Brazil, at first everybody had to like accept that like funk is music and it's gonna be here. And then now that we're taking like worldwide, this is insane because yeah, as you're saying, after Nita like did a few songs out here with some artists with some features with some artists here, um, then like more people start making like there's like Lisa Songs, Ludmilla, and then like other MCs like it's amazing. It
And
is
they
really
started to
spreading.
actually make songs. I've even noticed that, like, even like now, they started to make songs, like Hispanic songs, with the background of the funk beats. And I'm like, oh my gosh, finally! I'm like, I knew you guys were gonna love it. And just like Mariana said, it like literally, it was looked at as such a bad thing in Brazil, and that's one of the reasons why most, like, a lot of the other Brazilians here in the U.S. don't like. When I tell them like I'm from Rio, because they already have that mentality. Oh, she's from Rio, she's carioca, she probably listens to funky and dances it and all of this, and it was just looked at as like really bad, almost like here in the US how you guys look at twerking, because funky is so similar to twerk, like to twerking and to,
I
yes, like
mean,
that's literally
yes,
practically what it is. And it's just looked at like really bad. But if people only understood how much fun we really like, we don't look at it as a sexual way. Like I was talking about this the other day, like I remember being like 5, 6 years old and my dad being like, "Oh, like my daughter can dance funky," like like, and I'm sitting there dancing, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, she knows how to dance," and nobody ever sexualized it. You know what I'm saying? Like we looked at it as like, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna be a great dancer when she grows up," not as a,
right.
like, how some people would look at it. I guess I could say.
That's crazy. Like it's y'all. Do y'all see this? This is beautiful. This is why we have these cultural conversations because like these are things that I've known these two for a while. Actually over 2 years now, and like it's like I never knew these things about them. One thing I did know about these two, and we'll talk more about it here at the commercial break, that they both can dance. So make sure you stay tuned. We're gonna have more about these cultural conversations with two national Brazilians. Stay tuned. The videos and images displayed all across the world cannot fully express what the people of Ukraine are going through. This senseless act of terrorism has cost many their lives and forced millions of Ukrainians out of their homes. Yet it's the Ukrainians' pride and resiliency that has inspired the entire world. So we here at Straight Up ask you to stand for freedom, stand for human rights, but most importantly, join us as we stand with Ukraine.
A new season of riskier conversations with more groundbreaking and rewarding stories, and always rolling the dice of our truths. But this is a place where bluntness wins big. The Straight Up Show podcast is back with our 8th season. So take a chance and listen now.
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Hey, today is our cultural conversations. We're keeping this segment going. Man, we have traveled the globe. We have been some of everywhere, but today we're going to Brazil. And today we have two guests. They're no strangers to our show. They have definitely been made an impact on the show with the one time they've been on our show. Help me welcome once again Deb and Marianna. Marianna and Deb, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and they are definitely born and raised in Brazil, but now they are in America. And once again, shout out to Mariana. She is now nationalized. She is now an official
That's
U.S.
my
citizen.
girl.
Yeah.
Double citizenship.
And these two, like I said, these two are different. I've never met, and it's a coincidence that you two are very close friends of mine. You two have definitely made me into a better man these past 2 years. Definitely helped me out with a lot of decisions to make, and some decisions y'all gave me, I definitely went over y'all's decision and still made my own bad decision. But at the end, y'all were technically right. But whatever. But one of my first impressions of Deb, it was summer 2022. You remember that, Deb? Just going on your
Yes,
live,
I
and
do.
we was with Sarah, we was with Camille, like it was just one thing Deb knew how to do. This girl knew how to dance, and like I always say, Deb, we're not gonna have no twerk sessions today, like, and so but like I'm gonna tell y'all, summer 2022. It was popping, like, so I wanna say, hey, and then seeing Mariana, like, seeing your dance videos too, I'm like, it was just, it was like you were like, "Boop, boop, 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 boop," boop, like, it's like at the end of it was like, "Boop, boop, boop, boop." I don't know what song it was, but it was like you would just shake it or whatever. I'm like, "Dang, y'all know how to dance, bro," and, like so, like, I'm not saying that it's like a stereotype, but I mean, come on, like, y'all don't know each other, but both of y'all can dance. Like, is dancing, Mariana, is dancing a real big thing in Brazil or what?
So dancing is definitely a big thing in Brazil. I mean, we have funk, we have samba, like carnival right now. Everybody's dancing on the street all day, 24/7, the whole week. Everybody with the schedule of the parties. Okay, this party's at this beach. Okay, let's run. This party's over there. Like everybody's dancing is definitely big in Brazil. But like uh funk, there's the beautiful thing about Brazil is that like inside of Brazil is very diverse because if you go to different states, they have like completely different cultures. And still, we have like the Brazilian culture that, like um, unite us all. So the funks, there's different types of funks depending on the region of Brazil. But in Rio, funk is huge. Like is the biggest thing. It's funk and samba in Rio, and we're both from Rio, and it's so funny because like I moved to Florida first and then I moved here 6 years after. And in Florida, I would go to the parties because there's a lot of Brazilians there. So we'd go to the Brazilian parties and such. And then my friends start calling me Anita. So my nickname when I go back to Florida is Anita. And then they're like, and they put that song, the you probably gonna know Debbie, but call it a Portuguese Movimento da Sanfoninha, which is like
Gosh.
yeah. So they put that and then just expect me to that. So it's yeah, it's definitely a big thing in Brazil, but mainly in Rio funk. It's like
Mariana, there was a video you posted on TikTok, and it was this guy just throwing you around and swirling you. What dance was that? This guy was just picking you up and throwing you around. What was that?
so it's the group is Bonde das Maravilhas, and it was Aquecimento do Pedro Sampaio, something like that. It's like so it's this group of girls, and it's like us there singing because there's some people that sing funk, and us there singing they will create the the steps for the dance in their
Yes.
music, like the specific ones, and like this group of girls they are one that like always do that. And so it went kind of like viral on TikTok, so that's what it was Bonde das Maravilhas, but like yeah, it was a dance.
I know, but like, hey, look, I love you and all, but I can't throw you around like that, bro. I can't do all
When
of
you
that.
say it like that, he wasn't throwing me around, he was
Spinning.
spinning me
Yeah,
around.
whatever. I was just look, that's still outside of my athletic realm right now. Had this been 10 years ago, maybe, but that's different. And you hate me talking about age, but I'm like, hey, 10 years ago, maybe. But right now, no, I can't do that. Deb, you on the other hand, you just like to just it's always a party with you. And like that's like why I love Deb because like the energy is always just there. And like
Lit.
you made you
Girl,
made
when are
you
we
made
gonna go partying?
Hey, let's put it together and let's go because I'm ready.
And she's a Florida
I'm
girl, so
ready.
I mean, there you go. And I
You in
definitely
Florida?
she's in Florida,
Yeah,
yeah. But Deb, like I said, you really, in my opinion, when it was on TikTok, you made summer 2022 because it was hot outside, and like I don't know why, but I would purposely get off my lunch break and like I would sit there and go like, "What's Deb doing right now?" And like it was all, and like you was having some thousands and thousands of people like watching. I'm like, bro, this girl, and like you was like, okay, cool to Camille, cool to Sarah, but like, nah, Deb stole the show. So I was like, I always took that, hey, Deb, when are we getting Twerk Dev back? Because Twerk Dev 2022, hey, we miss you.
hey, I'm definitely actually gonna start doing that again. Um, I stopped for a while, some things happened or whatever, but like I love to have fun, as you can see. I'm always like the lit one in the group, like I'm always gonna be the one, you know what? I'm about to shake some ass. Because I don't know, like I really do miss my country a lot when it comes down like kind of like what Marianne was saying, like our music, like the funky. Like here, like sometimes I'll be with some friends and listen, don't get me wrong, I love reggaeton, I love all of the Hispanic music. But sometimes I want to sit there and listen to my funky and nobody really understands what they're saying. But I'm like, listen, just follow the beat. You don't even gotta listen to the words, just dance to the beat. Because that's literally what we do. Like kind of like what Mariana was saying, like a lot of the times like they have the ones who sing and then the ones who just make up the dance. And I'm not gonna lie, because I am really big on dancing, I used to just like make up ways on how to dance it. Like I just follow the beat and I absolutely love it. Like it's just in my blood, it's in my genes, I don't know.
And like what kind of what my first experience, and this is how messed up I was and ignorant I was. I went to I think it was a Universal Soul Circus, and they had these like performers and there was dancers. Like it was about Rio, like well Carnival, but I'm from Louisiana, so Carnival to y'all is Mardi Gras for us, which is kind of like I guess now that I think about it, it's the same kind of I guess time zone, right?
Same concept.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
concept
yeah,
at
it's
the
the
same time
same
too,
time
because
zone
right
as
now,
yes.
yeah, right now we're going through Mardi Gras right now. So it's like, okay. But I remember with two things. I remember watching the TikTok video and they were in Brazil. I think it was maybe New Year's or it may have been Carnival, but it had to be at least 1 million people at the beach. And there was explosions everywhere. I was like, holy,
Oh, that was probably New Year's.
but
New
it was
Year's
just
and everybody dresses in white.
Yeah, it was a
Yes.
lot of people, but I was at this circus, and, like, the one song that I'm still addicted to, and I probably can't pronounce it in Portuguese, but, like, and it's like but I don't know, I
Oh
can't
my God, Macarena.
yeah.
Macarena.
And I couldn't find it, and they had it on Just Dance or some dancing show too or movie, but, like, I heard it in a circus, and, like, the reason why I couldn't translate it because it wasn't in Spanish, it was in Portuguese, and I didn't know it took me forever to find that song, thank God for Google, but, like, I couldn't find it, but that was my first introduction to, like, Portuguese, language and Brazilian music too, but when it comes to y'all's, like, race and what y'all are in your country, Deb, what are some big misconceptions that people have when it comes to not only Brazilians but the Brazilian culture? And like you already said, but people kind of mistake you for like being like different race and Latina. But what are some other misconceptions that people may have about Brazilian and the culture?
So like I feel just like you said, like the whole thing of our hair, our skin color, our body. Like everybody just thinks every Brazilians are supposed to have this, like big butt, little body and beautiful hair. And it's crazy because like in my family, most of us have actually like really kinky hair. I just got lucky because my mom and one of my aunts, mind you, there's like seven of them, came out with like curly hair, more to like straight than kinky. But it's just like so many things. Like, and then like a lot of people sometimes I used to be like, oh, I'm from Brazil. They're like, oh, so you speak Brazilian? No, I don't speak Brazilian. I speak Portuguese. And it's like every time you speak about Brazil, obviously they always bring up Rio, which I never really got offended with that because obviously I'm from Rio, like I'm Carioca. But I used to like tell people, I'm like, yeah, well, like I'm from Rio, but my mom's from Bahia, Salvador, which is like about 2 to 3 states like above Rio. And like her culture, for example, like they literally my mom always used to tell me like growing up, like, oh, you got a foot in Africa. And I never understood it. Like for the longest, I was sitting here like, why my mama keep telling me I got a foot in Africa? And once I got older, I came to understand the reason why is because where she's from, um most of the slaves that were brought from Africa, like to Brazil, they were all brought mostly into her states. And so, like, literally, like, our blood runs through mixes, obviously, like, from European with a mix of the Africans. And there is, like, so many misconceptions on that because not all Brazilians look the same. And honestly, I absolutely love to explain sometimes to people certain things because, like Portuguese comes from French, first of all. Yeah, I know that it's crazy, right? But yeah, it comes from French. It doesn't even come from like Spanish or like the actual like Portuguese from Portugal. And so like there's so many misconceptions with so many things. But I will say like another thing too that I used to get judged for a lot was like, oh, like so because you're from Brazil, that means like all of your bikinis are like tiny and stuff. And I'm like, listen, I'm like, I personally could never. Not every Brazilian dress is the same.
I
I like my mom was one of those people who I used to go to the beach with, and everybody was just looking. And my mom actually got kicked out of the beach a couple of times because of it. Because
oh
back
my
then,
god.
about 13 years ago, it wasn't looked at it that way. Like people still wasn't really familiar with the Brazilian bikinis or anything. And it's crazy because back then, 13, 12 years ago, my mama was getting kicked out of the beaches. And now I'll go to like Busch Gardens or like these other places and everybody's wearing a practically Brazilian bikini. And I'm like, yeah, you know.
Which is
Like,
basically a thong.
is
But
it like butt naked or what? Like
no,
just
It's a
it's
thong.
a thong.
okay.
But like what's interesting? It's a still seen in a kind of so my mom she lives in Georgia. And she lives in Georgia in an area where it's like, those faraway areas where you just get a house with, like in the middle of like the woods kind of thing. And those places they have like lakes that it's just for the people that live there. And one of the places they have a sign that says that it's prohibited to go with a thong.
That's real crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Debbie, for adding to the stereotype of Brazilians with wearing the
It's
small
just
bikini.
crazy to me because literally it's not just like the clothing and stuff, like it's every other little thing. Like I remember when I was like probably about 12 years old, my mom was like really big on crochet like clothing, you know? And us Brazilians, as you know, especially in Rio, like that's a big thing for us, you know, like the purses, the shoes, like even my shoes, like my sister owned like a collection of crochet shoes. And I remember when I came back when I was like 15, I had like some shirts and like some like like sandals or whatever, and people were judging me for it. They were like, "Oh, are you poor? Did your mom have to like do that for you or whatever?" And I'm sitting there like, "What? Did you
Oh
just
my god!
disrespect my culture like that? Like that is insane to me."
And now it's like everybody's wearing it.
Hmm.
One thing that I messed up on when I first met Mariana, and like she got into my ass on this one, like because we have,
One thing.
yeah, yeah, I know, right?
This dude, he stereotyped me like in 4 different ways and within 10 freaking minutes. I was like, bro, like, are you freaking serious? The only reason we're friends to nowadays is because I'm like, yo, you're being racist. You're stereotyping the shit out of me. Just because I'm Brazilian does not mean I play soccer or I dance or that I like samba. I mean, I do like samba and I do this, but I do not like soccer. And like, don't do that. Don't come at people like so. And how's your Spanish? Like, what?
It was okay. Look, Deb knows Spanish. Okay, so it's a fair question. Two, we have a mutual friend, or not even a friend. We have a mutual associate,
No,
and
that's exactly why he already knew you, and he
no, no,
was
no, not
telling me
even
how
her.
he
I'm
knew
talking
a
about
Brazilian. No, yeah, he was telling me how he knew Brazilians and asking me about
no, no, no.
Spanish and stereotyping me, and I'm like, how do you know Brazilians and you're coming at me with this kind of talk?
No, the
Oh
other
my god.
our other mutual, associate, and I looked at her and I said, "'Cause she's, different, shape and size, whatever." But I'm like, "Okay, Mariana, okay, so can you explain to me what part of Brazil she may be from? Because unlike you, she has straight hair and you have naturally curly hair." So that's what I did. I was one of those people, like, kinda curious, like, "Okay, why does this person that we have mutually connection with why does she have straight hair?" And like, and to me, honestly, I think this person is a poor representation of Brazil, in my opinion. But here's
It's not actually, no. There's no such thing as a poor representation of Brazil. And like I'm saying this. This is totally like not unofficial like research data or anything. But like since I moved here, what I hear is the Brazilian passport is the most expensive in the like black market because anyone could be Brazilian. Like you can look like anything. You can look Asian,
Literally.
European. You can look like anything and be Brazilian because we have all kinds of
Touche,
people.
I see
touche
y'all have.
on that one.
I seen one dude. He's like the biggest star in Brazil. It's like but he looks darker than me. It's a dark skinned dude with blonde hair. I forgot his name, but he's like really cut up and stuff. But like, I don't know his name, but he's like had like 200 million following.
The only like black dude with lighter hair that I can think about right now from Brazil is Seu Jorge because like he
It could be
was like
him.
blonde.
Yeah, it
He's
could
a
be him.
singer. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a singer. Yeah, he's a singer. Uh, Mariana, like, so let me ask you this. This is kind of like when it comes to theatrics and like Hollywood and stuff like that. Did Fast and the Furious, did they get Brazil right? Was that accurate or no?
I don't watch that movie.
Well, Deb, did you watch Fast and the Furious or no?
Yes, yes, I did. And to be honest, yeah, part of it, some parts of it. I mean, it wasn't 100% obviously, but I will say they did a very good job. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually kind of impressed. um, but I'm just gonna mention this because I was actually telling a friend this the other day, and this is another like misconception and a thing like that people picture in their mind, and it's not really the reality of what it is. So like everybody obviously knows the Christ, right, which is we in Portuguese is Cristo Redentor. And like every time I see it on TV or I hear somebody talking about it or picture something, you know, it always just shows like from the top, so beautiful. And I'm like, I wish the camera would go down a little bit lower because right under the Christ, right under it's a mountain, first of all, okay? So like right under the Christ, like literally like right under, like going down a little bit more, there's like literally favela all around that Cristo Redentor. Like, and I kid you not, like there's like literally houses being built like that are like poor people, obviously they call it favela because it's like being built with, like those bricks that are really cheap. And I always like thought about it. I'm like, how come every time they show real like like the Christ, like show the whole thing. Don't show just like a part. Don't zoom out, zoom in. Like because I don't know. I feel like a lot of times there's a song from Brazil that is called I'm pretty sure Mariana knows this one. It's called Eu Só Quero Ser Feliz, which means I just want to be happy, and it's a funk slash rap. And the reason for that song, I absolutely love that song because in one part of that song, it says that a lot of tourists come to Brazil to drink coconut water by the beach or whatever, while they don't even care about all of these other things that's really going on in their country. Like you got kids walking around, like with no shoes on or whatever, like trying to just kind of like make a living. And a lot of people just have no idea. Like, I feel like obviously we go as tourism to a lot of other countries, but I feel like Brazil, not now, but it used to be one of the top, like tourism place. And I just never seen anybody really talk about like I guess the poor side of Brazil and like the lower class areas and stuff. It was always, oh, Copacabana Beach or Ipanema and like all of these other places, and not really like y'all never. I feel like a lot of people never really understood the culture. It was just based off whatever media wanted to present to people.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I remember seeing like my image of the poor parts of Brazil is these houses on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of like, dang, like there's a mountain, but it's the houses on top of each other and they're like so close knit. It's like, and this may sound, I guess, stereotypical or racist in your opinion, Mariana, but like, did y'all live like that in y'all's places? Like, did y'all have houses like close to each other, just like on top of each other like that, or what?
No, where I was, no. Um, I didn't come from a place like that, but I came from a place that was just like my family was doing a little better than that. So like it was called comunidades. So I didn't have to be in the middle of like the actual like danger where, because usually those places that has the houses stuck up on each other. It has a lot of like problems with like drugs and like just the people that tell everybody what to do there, and like there's a lot of like crimes and stuff. So like people can show up dead because they didn't pay like a drug deal, and like you don't even you just in your house and you hear a like gunshots. So I was depending on the place. So I'm not from there. So the where I'm from is uh, it's a little bit better than that, but it's still like very dangerous. And one thing that it's crazy to me about the
If you don't
representation of
mind me
Brazil,
asking, what was it called where like the area that you live?
Tijuquinha.
Is just like you. I didn't really grow up in, like in the favelas or anything like that. We were a little bit, obviously like I guess a little bit better than other people. We were still considered poor, but we were not as poor. And I will say though that the favela was really not that far from us though. It was only like what, like maybe a 10-minute, like walk, subindo morro, né? O que a gente chama morro, which is like it's like going up like a mountain,
The
but in
hill.
yeah, but it's actually like a road. But Point Blank is like it was close, but it was not like in the danger area. It's just pretty close. Um, yeah, living living there was actually pretty fun though. Like I don't know how to explain it,
No,
but
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Because I told my mom all the time, mom, like living in the projects was the best time of my life. Like being dirt poor, not having no money, but being around other people, like that was the best time of my life. And I could definitely understand that kind of concept. We're gonna have a little bit more with Mariana and Deb, two Brazilians, talk about their culture. Make sure you stay tuned to the Straight Up Show podcast.
think straight up means to be able to speak in a way that is straight up, to be honest and to speak your truth.
Raw, uncut, you know what I mean? It's blunt, you know, straight to the point. This what it is.
It's just a place to be open and honest, and that's what I appreciate most about it. And it provides a place for community members to come together and just be straight up with each other about things that are going on in the world, because it affects all of us.
Unfiltered, raw, with all the cursing that Calvin does.
Straight up is just being real, telling it like it is, you know, being you.
Being solid, being who you are, no matter what it is, no matter what situation you're faced with, right? This is who you are. It really speaks to me, saying it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. Straight up.
It's Monday, and you know what that means. A new artist hits the Straight Up stage for another edition of Music Monday. Tune in to hear talented music artists from all over the world. Artists like Victoria Silk and Jonathan Valenzuela. Come experience some of the best that music has to offer and see why fans want more. Artists like the Rap Assassin 5. It's Music Monday, only on the Straight Up Show podcast. Are you an up-and-coming artist and would like your music to be featured on the show? Don't wait. Send us a message right now.
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. This is our cultural conversations, and like as you can see, this podcast so far, it's all about Brazil and Brazilians. And like today, I have two wonderful guests. I have Marianna and I have Deb. Once again, they are no strangers to our show. They've been on the show before. As you can see, me and Marianna kind of have a beef already about her culture. Like she likes to put me in check. Yeah, apparently I'm a racist.
Yeah, I need to educate you a little more about Brazil.
So I had to have her
that's why
on.
we're doing this.
And to be honest with you, Marianna, this is like I've been waiting for this episode for almost 2 years now. So finally you come on. It took you long enough, but hey, anyway. But no,
I had to make sure I'll teach you some things, and it's still not enough apparently.
I mean, when do you tell me stuff that I actually listen to?
I never actually. You're right. Never.
Both of y'all.
Ever.
Both of y'all, honestly. But anyway, I have these two on the show. Thank y'all so much. This girl, I'm telling you, Deb, this girl always comes for me. Always comes for me. But hey, apparently, and look, they've been on our show.
Someone has to.
Yeah, well, they've been on the show, and they
He's lucky he ain't ever tried me like that, because I think he learned it with you. He was like, "Yeah, let me shut up."
Nah, you're very nice, Deb. You actually.
I'm confident that he's more scared of you than he is of me.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think so. I come off as very nice. My thing is like I'm a Libra, right? So I come off as really, really nice. The thing is, don't unbalance my balance. That's when I come off like you. I'm usually very nice and like bubbly. Just don't step on the wrong side of the balance.
I'd love for you to elaborate that a little more. What do you mean you come up like me? Like, what did you mean by that?
No, Marianna, I would say this. Like, I've been knowing Deb for 2 years, and something happened. We're not going to talk about it, but like, she just sent me a text message. I'm like, oh, I've never seen Deb this mad. And you sent me a text message, and I had to analyze, like, what's going on? And all I could just hear is Sarah in the background. Okay, me. And I'm like, whoa, Deb, this is
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm really nice, but like my thing is, I feel like everybody really sometimes there goes another misconception. Like sometimes a lot of people like look at me, they're like, oh my gosh, she's so nice, she's so lovely. So like they don't really think that I would ever come out strong or be who I know I can be.
I can see the assassin is coming from you. Like, there's no way.
Let me tell you, like I said, I know she had it in her, but like this one incident, I'm like, man, like I've never seen that. And like the thing is, you were so calm about it. That's kind of what scared me about it. It's like you were mad, but like you were like calm about it. You said what you said, you did what you did, and then you just like, all right, I'm good. And then like all I heard was like, meow, 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 meow. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, because listen, I feel like one of the reasons why I was really calm about it is because me, when I am done with a situation, I get calm about it. I get quiet about it. But I'm still gonna show you, I'm still gonna prove my point on my way out though. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still gonna prove a point, but I'm gonna be quiet about it.
and remember, this is like we're 3 hours, past each other. So I'm like, bro, I'm trying to wake up. Like, wait a minute, I shouldn't wake up scared, but I am. You know what I mean? But hey, Mariana, you may be right. I might be a little bit more scared than Deb because she's quiet about it. So, but going back to the story, I have these two Brazilians, and they are definitely proud of their culture. And knowing these two women, these wonderful, intelligent women, who have come from Brazil to America now. And once again, shout out to Mariana for now being a citizenship. She has a citizenship here, so definitely celebrating this episode dedicated to her and her now being a citizen. Yes. So once again, but they have fought the good fight. They came to America to start a brand new life. Once again, she's got her new life here. But they're talking about their culture. And the thing is that, I see the pride that y'all have. But one of my favorite, and I'm not really a big meat eater, but surprisingly, pause. But but what I'm saying is I don't really eat a lot of red meat. But one of my favorite restaurants of all time is Texas de Brazil. And oh my God, like if that's the real Brazilian food, I want to go to Brazil and eat some of y'all's food. So my question is, Deb, what are some of your favorite foods from Brazil or some of your favorite Brazilian food to eat?
It's crazy because there goes like another misconception of Brazil. Like everybody just like thinks about the meat, the picanha, because that's what was introduced to the US from like our culture, right? And obviously I'm not gonna lie, every weekend, at least like with my dad, we were always like doing churrasco. We call it churrasco, which is pretty much just like grilling, or whatever, grilling the meat. And but like my favorite, if I have to like really speak on like the Brazilian food, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's almost like it's a savory cake. So it's not a cake. It's made out of like it's almost like chicken pot pie. But we call it empadão, but it's made like with literally a type of dough, and it has chicken inside. It has like cream cheese, but a Brazilian cream cheese, and it has corn and green peas. And even though it sounds weird, I promise it tastes amazing. And my mom used to make that like every other week, and it was like one of the main things that I really loved and enjoyed eating. I have introduced my friends to acai, which is here in the US they have it, but it's not the same as the one that we would eat in the streets of Brazil. But luckily, being in New York, I met somebody who owns a acai shop. It's called Acai Delights. And when I tell you, they make it exactly on how they make it in the streets of Brazil, and it's like so freaking good. So those are definitely like my two top. And then of course, who doesn't like coxinha? Because that's like one thing that everybody who goes to Brazil or like tries Brazilian food, that's like one of the main things that everybody falls in love with. Which like it looks like a little diamond like this, but like it has chicken inside. And we call it catupiry, which is like a type of like cream cheese. But it's cream cheese here in the US is a little bit harder. Like ours is a little bit more softer.
It's very creamy. Yeah, it's actually
Very
creamy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better than cream cheese any day.
Way better. Like you guys don't understand. Like in Brazil, I know Mariana can probably vouch for this, but I feel like the best thing to eat in the mornings. I used to love just like the warm French bread with the cake, like requeijão. Oh my gosh! Like, it was like literally the best thing ever. Like that was busting. That was better than any breakfast I've ever had in my life.
And now I have to drive 30 minutes and pay $5 for one little cup of requeijão.
Oh my gosh. It's so expensive here for it.
Well, same with you, Mariana. Like you over there cheesing right now, and like honestly, my favorite dish is those little cheese balls, little bread balls, whatever. I don't know what it is, but I love those things. I never had. What's it called?
Bolas de queijo.
Bolas de queijo.
I mean,
Queijo
depends. Yeah,
é
it could be the bolinha de queijo and cheese balls, or it could be also pão de queijo. Not sure exactly what
Well,
you
yeah, he's probably about talking pão de queijo. Pão de queijo because it's usually what normally people try anyways.
they have at the steakhouses, the Brazilian steakhouse. They always have pão de queijo.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Mariana, like, what's some of your favorite Brazilian food that you like?
So this is funny. To me, I mean, I like, of course, a bunch of Brazilian food, but it's not even about food specifically. What I love about Brazil is how, in my opinion, we will take food from a country and make it better or like our way. Because Brazilian sushi is bussin', best sushi, better than
What?
anywhere you ever had.
Brazilian sushi?
Brazilian sushi. Yeah, because they get creative. Like they will come up with I'm speechless. They will come up with something that it's like so crazy, and then you try it like this is actually good. Or they'll
Like
fry
they shouldn't go
everything.
together, but it should go together.
Yes, like Brazilian pizza, way better.
Oh my god, yes,
Way
Brazilian
better.
pizza.
So good. Brazilian stroganoff way better too than the original stroganoff.
Brazilian
Everything
stroganoff
Brazilian
is
is
top
better.
tier.
It's my famous dish. My brother, he asked me, "Hey, can you cook that instead of my mom?" Like in front of her. That's like my specialty is Brazilian
Oh.
stroganoff.
Well, after
But
after
I make it vegan because I don't eat meat anymore.
yeah, well, after our cruise, you have to make me something, all right? So, I was gonna ask you. So that's crazy that to see all this, and like I said, I'm watching y'all and I'm hearing y'all. This is a side note. I'm just loving to see how these cultural conversations can bring people together, and like seeing these two and see how passionate you two are about. I'm about to start crying because it's like, you two mean a lot to me personally, but to see that y'all can bring the energy about your country and where you're from, that makes me so happy because, like I said, I know y'all, and to see y'all be so prideful on social media and your personal life about where you come from, even though you're now Americans, it's like, I love it. And so to me, it makes me want to be more involved and be more learning about your culture because I love it. And so to see the love y'all have makes me want to love too. With that being said, I know that y'all are now Americans officially, but I know you miss home, right? And Mariana, what is one thing that you miss about being in Brazil or living in Brazil?
I think one big thing that I miss about being in Brazil and living in Brazil is the warmth of like people. Like it's the love because in Brazil you like it's 7 o'clock at night. Kids are playing to this day. Kids are playing in the streets, running around, and neighbors are at their doors like
Sitting
talking and
outside.
like yeah. And people walk to the grocery store because well they only leave 5 minutes, so why would I drive kind of thing. And all of those things, those are like so simple. I live for the simple things in life, and those things are like they're so simple, and it's like it's just it's so it's life. You see life. You go on the street and you see people in life. Here you go and you just see a bunch of cars,
Yeah.
and that aspect like it's sad to me to see those things because in Brazil it's always a party. It's always a bunch of people. It's always loud. You know, and and the fact that people don't even realize like the beauty of other countries and the beauty of Brazil, because people think the nowadays people still think that it's just jungle. Like recently, someone kind of I was trying to explain LA, I mean Rio to someone, and Rio, you get the beach and you get the mountains and you get nature and you get everything. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like LA where you get a little bit of everything. And then the girl she went like, oh, but it's more like a jungle there. And I was like, I was a speech because I was like, girl, what? Like, no, it's not a freaking jungle. Like, no, it's a city with buildings and everything. But you have nature too. Like,
We just know
so
how to take care of our nature, unlike other countries. That's the only difference. Maybe That's the one thing that I absolutely understand you on that, because you know how many times that I went through this where people are like, oh yeah, she's from the jungle or whatever. Like, I'm sorry that my country knew how to take care of the Amazon and take care of its nature, like it's just like the misconception, it's so ridiculous. And I 100% agree with you on the whole simplicity. Like, on just everything is so simple. I literally said this a couple of months ago. I'm like, one thing that I miss about Brazil is being happy, being in peace. Even you could be poor, you could be going through a struggle, but guess what? We're still gonna be happy. We're still gonna party. We're still gonna go to our friend's house. We're still gonna sit outside and drink coffee together while talking about life and watching kids play and watching whatever we need to watch outside. And here you don't get that. Like, everybody is very to themselves and very cold in a way. Like, and I'm not saying everybody is the same, like, and I'm not saying everybody is like this, but like I said, it is a huge culture shock for a lot of Brazilians, especially coming here like in a young age. It doesn't matter if you were 9 years old like me or you were 14 like you. It's
I
very,
was
yeah.
16.
Oh, you were 16 when you came?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I was in Brazil when I was 15 for a year, and then I came back when I was like almost 16. So I kind of get that too. Like, I
It's
love
such an
Brazil.
awkward age, I feel like, to come, because like 16, it's like when I'm getting into that, like, more, doing more crazy things with my friends, but like I didn't go through any of that because my mom came like 2 years before. And so it was just like a crazy thing of me traveling around Brazil because I was with family members until I came here. So and then I got here and all my friends were like 3 years younger than me because I was in middle school. It
Oh
was
my God.
rough.
That's crazy. And like I said, just and the way I'll describe how, what you miss, like I can see y'all's personal life and see y'all actually living like in Brazil, but through your personal life now. And that's kind of cool to see, like, because Deb, you'll go outside real quick and just hang out in the front porch and just talk and like,
Yeah.
you kind of bring the kind of like that vibe back. And like, it to me, comparison, like the way y'all describe is kind of how I grew up. I grew up poor and like grew up in the projects and just the feeling of neighborhood and feeling neighbors and just having fun no matter what. So it's kind of crazy to see how our cultures are different, but also the same at the same exact time. So with that being said, hey, Deb, Mariana, thank y'all so much for coming back on the show, talking about Brazil. And before we go, let me ask you, Deb, like if you can talk to the people right now, who's never been to Brazil, never had the Brazilian experience, tell people right now why they should be part of this Brazilian train and why they should embrace the Brazilian culture, and if they want to go to Brazil, why they should go.
Okay, so I feel like if anybody ever wanted to go to Brazil, I would give them the advice to not have that mentality of like the whole violence and the whole things that goes on in Brazil, because it's not that we don't have it, we do. You just don't go to those specific areas. And our people are just like Mariana was saying, like we're very loving and very warm people. Like we accept all cultures, we accept all people, and like most of the time, I feel like a lot of people would probably have a better time in a more rural, like, poor area in Brazil than going to Copacabana. Like you're going to spend so much more money. They're going to make you spend so much more money, like in these tourism areas instead of these other areas. And to be honest, I feel like one thing that people should embrace and maybe understand about Brazilian culture, and kind of like just a little bit of the respect is understand that we kind of like Mariana said earlier, we do not all look the same. No, we do not speak Spanish, Portuguese. We don't speak Brazilian. We are Brazilian. And another thing too is understanding that our culture literally has so much mixes in it, from black to white to brown, whatever you want to call my skin color. And just kind of like be open minded, because we really are very loving people. I personally have literally blended in with Mexican people and Puerto Rican people so much that now I'm like pretty much considered. I got my Mexican card at this point. I love my Mexican people, I really do. And so I don't know, just be really open minded to how we are and kind of try to understand sometimes whenever we get a little mad when some people like say certain things about like, oh, like for example, like the whole hairstyle thing. I think I got into that a couple of times with the whole like braids and stuff, and oh, this shouldn't be for your type of hair. And it's like, I told this girl, I was like, listen, my mother told me I got a foot in Africa, okay? And I'm listening to her. And it's just, like I said, the misconcept that there is so many different, Brazilians. It's not everybody has straight hair, not everybody has curly hair, not everybody has kinky hair. There's some of our families, like you can have like my cousins. I got some cousins who got like straight hair, and then I got cousins who got kinky, really kinky hair, like a whole afro. My uncle is black. And I've been like in stores with him before, and I've had like him tell people like, oh yeah, that's my niece, and they're like, oh, how come like you're darker or whatever? It's like we come in all colors and in all shapes and sizes. We don't all have a big butt. We don't all have a perfect body. You know what I'm saying? We don't all have a perfect face or whatever the case might be. But we are very loving people. We're very compassionate, very warm, and yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, that's nice to experience that too, and to hear that. And same with you, Mariana. If you can just kind of tell the same thing, like people who have not experienced the Brazilian culture or never been to Brazil, give us your reason why they should.
So first, I would say if you want to go to Brazil, I would suggest 2 times. Either go for New Year's or Carnival. And then that's a specific part of the Brazilian culture that you can only experience during that time. And I would say be open-minded. Like people just need to be open-minded in general. This is not just about the Brazilians, but everybody. Because I feel like people have such close mind about things that it's so silly. Because one thing is people think we have monkeys spat in Brazil. Because yes, in Rio, at my school, I would see little monkeys running on the walls. Because it's just like a squirrels. You guys get squirrels. Like we don't get squirrels in Brazil running around
We
like that.
don't. We really don't. I was so amazed when I seen a squirrel for the first time.
Me too. Yeah, my mom was here recording like, oh, the little squirrel. And I was like, oh
And yet we have the little tiny monkeys running around,
Yeah.
trying to steal your keys and steal your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, be careful. They're from Rio. They. And that's another thing. It's a stereotype from Rio that everybody that's from Rio is like, it's gonna steal from you. Like, no, stop. Only people from Rio can make that joke. But like, if you're not from Rio, don't say that because that's bad. But it's just be open minded, and if people are just like willing to open their minds and explore the world a little more, they will be amazed. Because in Brazil, people will try to help. People will think you're the cutest person. Like if you are trying to like speak to a Brazilian, if you don't speak Portuguese, and you're trying like to formulate a sentence, and you're getting your words. Everybody's gonna help you. They're gonna think you're the cutest person, and they will do anything to help you. Like that's who we are. We are open armed people. So like, don't call me like judgments and all the weapons. Just come with open arms too, and we all can love each other.
I love it.
Yeah, obrigado.
De nada.
Yes, nada.
You see, I know some stuff.
2 years, you learned one word.
Yeah, I know that word, or I just Google translated it. But hey,
Right.
But well, yeah, seriously, y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming on the show today. This is definitely a magical moment. If you check your text messages, I sent y'all a little gift as well. I want y'all to connect with each other, kind of learn from each other. Like even though y'all states apart, this is beautiful to have two of my friends come together, not only once to cuss me out on the show, but to come together to talk about their culture too. So I hope that this episode does just as great because y'all broke some numbers on the previous episode y'all was on. So thank y'all once again for coming on the Trader Show podcast. Once again, first off, let's give it up one more time for Mariana for getting her citizenship. She is now official.
That's my girl.
She is American.
Let's go,
So now so we have a lot coming up. Me and her going on a cruise this summer, so we got a lot coming on. So now I still have to go see Deb and Sarah. I got a lot to do this year. So now that y'all helped me with my little issue, it's my time to come back and repay y'all and kind of hang out with y'all and like get in some trouble in person. I know definitely I'm making trouble with Deb, and then I might get cussed out or maybe stabbed by Mariana. So we never know.
Jeez. How are you gonna put me out there like that?
Oh no, man!
No.
I feel like I just push your buttons way too much, man.
So guys, I have an announcement. I think this will be my last episode because people are going to be loving me.
Nah, but like I said, it's all jokes and it's all love here. And if you can't experience the love of their country on this episode, man, just go find somebody else that's Brazilian. And if you do see someone else that is Brazilian, don't be like me and be like me, I'm saying a racist. I'm just kidding. But like, don't be so close-minded. Embrace the culture. And like, if you take from the culture, also embrace it. Don't just take from it, but embrace it, because a lot of things that I didn't know about the culture that I learned today that I thought I did. So be like me, be open-minded, embrace change, and just accept everybody for who they are, no matter what they are. So with that being said, that's the end of our show. I want to thank once again Marianna and Deb for coming on our podcast, talk about the Brazilian culture. Y'all, we have a lot more. If you want to hear Deb's and Marianna's previous episode with them cussing me out, go to our website at strayupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8 upshowpodcast.com. There you can see their episode that did break numbers. You also can see previous episodes about different cultures, about France and about Australia and different countries that that we all should learn from, and we could all meet at the table and learn to love each other. Also, if you want to support our podcast, you can go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/strayupshowpodcast 318. That's patreon.com/strayupshowpodcast 318. That is the end of our show. Until then, there's only one rule to our show. You gotta be
Straight up.
all right, there you have it. See y'all later.